Have you ever had one of those days where something just feels a little off? Maybe you woke up and your arm felt a bit heavier than usual, or you noticed your words weren't coming out quite right, even though you knew exactly what you want to say. It's easy to brush these moments aside, especially as we get older and chalk things up to just getting older. But sometimes those little changes are your body's way of waving a red flag, trying to get your attention. Today, I want to talk with you about something that could save your life or the life of someone you love: the unexpected signs of stroke. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I already know the signs of a stroke. It's when someone's face droops or they can't move one side of their body, right? And yes, those are the classic signs we've all heard about. But what if I told you that strokes can show up in ways you might never expect? That's why this conversation is so important, especially for those of us in our golden years. The truth is, strokes don't always play by the rules. Sometimes, the warning signs are subtle, sneaky, and easy to miss. And when it comes to stroke, every minute counts. The sooner you recognize the signs, the better your chances of getting the right help and making a full recovery. So, in this video, we're going to talk about some of the most surprising and overlooked signs of stroke. These are the symptoms that don't always make it into the pamphlets at the doctor's office, but they're just as important to know. My goal is to help you feel confident and prepared, so you can act fast if you or someone you care about ever experiences these warning signs. Let's start with something that might surprise you: sudden confusion or trouble understanding what people are saying. Imagine you're sitting at the breakfast table, chatting with your spouse or a friend, and all of a sudden, their words start to sound like gibberish. Or maybe you're the one struggling to follow the conversation, even though you were just fine a moment ago. This isn't just a senior moment or a bit of forgetfulness. Sudden confusion, trouble understanding speech, or difficulty finding the right words can be a sign that something is happening in your brain. It might feel like you're in a fog, or like your thoughts are moving through molasses. If this happens out of the blue, don't ignore it. It could be your brain's way of telling you that a stroke is happening right now. Another unexpected sign to watch for is sudden vision problems. We all know that eyesight can change as we age, but a stroke can cause vision loss or changes that come on very quickly. You might notice that you suddenly can't see out of one eye, or that your vision is blurry or doubled. Sometimes, it feels like a curtain has come down over part of your field of vision. This isn't the same as needing new glasses or having a little trouble reading the fine print. If your vision changes dramatically and suddenly, especially if it happens in just one eye, it's time to take it seriously. Don't wait to see if it gets better on its own. Get help right away. Now, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked: sudden dizziness, loss of balance, or trouble walking. Maybe you're getting up from your favorite chair and suddenly feel like the room is spinning, or you find yourself stumbling for no reason. It's easy to blame this on getting up too quickly or being a little dehydrated, but sudden problems with balance or coordination can be a sign that your brain isn't getting the blood flow it needs. If you feel dizzy, unsteady, or have trouble walking that comes on without warning, don't just sit back down and hope it passes. This could be a stroke, and it's important to get checked out as soon as possible. I know it can be tempting to brush off these symptoms, especially if they go away after a few minutes. But here's the thing: even if the symptoms disappear, you could still be at risk. Sometimes these brief episodes are called mini strokes or TIAs, transient ischemic attacks. They're like a warning shot from your body, telling you that a bigger stroke could be on the way. So, if you ever experience sudden confusion, vision changes, or dizziness, don't wait. Call for help, even if you start to feel better. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Let's pause for a moment and think about how easy it is to overlook these signs. Maybe you're out gardening and you suddenly feel a little off balance. Or you're reading the newspaper and notice the words are blurry, but you figure it's just your eyes getting tired. These moments can be so subtle, but they matter. The more you know about the unexpected signs of stroke, the better prepared you'll be to action. Now that we've talked about vision changes and dizziness, let's keep going. There are a few more surprising symptoms that everyone should know about, especially as we get older. Sometimes, the signs of stroke can show up in ways that have nothing to do with your face or arms at all. For example, did you know that a sudden, severe headache, one that feels different from any headache you've ever had, can be a warning sign? Or that sudden numbness or tingling in your limbs, even if it's just for a moment, could be your body's way of telling you something is wrong? We'll explore these and more, so you can feel confident recognizing the signs and knowing what to do. Because when it comes to your health, knowledge truly is power. Let's keep this conversation going, and make sure you have all the tools you need to protect yourself and your loved ones. Let's take a closer look at that sudden, severe headache I just mentioned. Now, I know headaches are common, and most of the time they're nothing to worry about. Maybe you didn't drink enough water, or you spent a little too much time in the sun. But if you ever experience a headache that comes on out of nowhere and feels more intense than anything you've had before, especially if it's accompanied by other strange symptoms, don't ignore it. People sometimes describe it as the worst headache of their life. It might feel like a thunderclap, a sharp pain that hits you all at once. This kind of headache can be a sign of a bleeding stroke, where a blood vessel in the brain has burst. It's not something you want to wait out or try to sleep off. If you ever feel a headache like this, it's time to call for help right away. Another sign that often flies under the radar is sudden numbness or tingling, especially if it happens on just one side of your body. Maybe you're sitting in your favorite chair and notice your left hand feels strangely numb, or your right leg feels tingly and weak. It's easy to think you just slept on it funny, but if this sensation comes on suddenly and doesn't go away after a few minutes, it could be a warning sign. Strokes often affect one side of the body because of the way the brain controls movement and sensation. So, if you notice numbness, tingling, or weakness that appears out of the blue, especially if it's just on one side, don't brush it off. It's your body's way of telling you something important. Sometimes, the signs of stroke can be even more subtle. Have you ever found yourself suddenly unable to swallow? Or maybe your voice sounds hoarse and you can't figure out why? Difficulty swallowing, known as dysphagia, can be a sign that the muscles in your throat aren't working the way they should. This can happen if a stroke affects the part of your brain that controls those muscles. You might notice that food or drinks go down the wrong way more often, or that you're coughing or choking when you try to eat. If this happens suddenly, it's not just a normal part of aging. It could be a sign of a stroke. Let's talk about another symptom that can catch people off guard: sudden trouble with coordination or clumsiness. Maybe you're reaching for your coffee mug and your hand just won't cooperate, or you find yourself dropping things for no clear reason. Sometimes, you might feel like your movements are jerky or unsteady, even though you haven't done anything different. This loss of coordination can be a sign that your brain isn't sending the right signals to your muscles. It's not just about being a little clumsy. If it comes on suddenly, it's time to pay attention. You might also notice changes in your sense of touch. For example, you could suddenly have trouble feeling hot or cold, or you might not notice when something is pressing against your skin. These changes can be subtle, but they're important. If you ever feel like your body isn't responding the way it usually does, especially on one side, don't ignore it. Sometimes, the signs of stroke can affect your emotions or behavior. Have you ever felt suddenly confused, agitated, or even unusually sleepy for no reason? Maybe you're having trouble staying awake, or you feel like you're in a dream and can't snap out of it. These changes can be easy to overlook, especially if you're tired or stressed. But if they come on suddenly and don't make sense, they could be a sign that your brain isn't getting enough blood flow. It's also possible to experience sudden changes in your ability to see the world around you. We talked earlier about vision loss or blurriness, but sometimes a stroke can cause you to see double or to lose your sense of balance because your eyes and brain aren't working together the way they should. You might notice that you're bumping into things more often or that the room seems to tilt or spin. These changes can be scary, but they're important to recognize. Now, I know this might sound like a lot to remember, but the key is to pay attention to anything that feels sudden, unusual, or severe. Our bodies are pretty good at letting us know when something isn't right. We just have to listen. If you ever notice any of these symptoms, especially if they come on quickly and don't have an obvious cause, don't wait to see if they'll go away. Call for help right away. It's always better to be cautious when it comes to your health. Let's imagine a scenario together. You're enjoying a quiet afternoon, maybe reading a book or watching your favorite show, when suddenly your arm feels weak and you can't quite grip the remote. Or maybe you try to stand up and your leg just won't cooperate. These moments can be frightening, but they're also your cue to act fast. The sooner you get help, the better your chances of recovery. It's also important to remember that strokes don't always look the same for everyone. Some people might have just one symptom, while others might have several at once. And sometimes the symptoms can come and go, making it even harder to know what's happening. That's why it's so important to trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, don't hesitate to reach out for help. You might be wondering, what should I do if I notice any signs of myself or someone else? The answer is simple. Call emergency services right away. Don't try to drive yourself to the hospital, and don't wait to see if things get better. Every minute counts when it comes to stroke treatment. The faster you get medical attention, the more likely you are to recover fully. Let's take a moment to talk about why acting quickly is so important. When a stroke happens, part of the brain isn't getting the blood and oxygen it needs. The longer that part of the brain goes without oxygen, the more damage can occur. But if you get help quickly, doctors have treatments that can restore blood flow and minimize the damage. That's why recognizing the signs and acting fast can make all the difference. So, as we continue this conversation, keep in mind that knowledge is your best defense. The more you know about the unexpected signs of stroke, the better prepared you'll be to protect yourself and your loved ones. And remember, you're never alone in this. There are people who care about you and want to help. Sometimes, all it takes is a phone call to make a world of difference. Let's keep going and talk about what you can do to lower your risk and stay healthy, so you can keep enjoying all the things you love. Now, as we talk about staying healthy and lowering your risk, I want you to remember that you have more power than you might think. It's easy to feel like health problems just sneak up on us as we get older, but there are real, practical steps you can take every day to protect your brain and your body. And the best part? These steps aren't complicated or out of reach. They're things you can start doing right now, no matter where you are on your health journey. First, let's talk about the importance of regular checkups. I know doctor's appointments aren't anyone's favorite way to spend an afternoon, but they really do make a difference. Your doctor can help you keep track of your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar, all things that play a big role in your risk for stroke. Sometimes, these numbers can creep up without any obvious symptoms, so it's important to keep an eye on them even if you're feeling fine. If your doctor recommends medication or lifestyle changes, try to see it as a partnership. You're working together to keep you feeling your best for as long as possible. Another thing that makes a huge difference is staying active. Now, I'm not talking about running marathons or lifting heavy weights. Unless that's your thing, even gentle movement, like walking around a block, gardening, or dancing in your living room, can help keep your blood flowing and your heart strong. The key is to find something you enjoy, so it doesn't feel like a chore. Maybe you have a friend or a neighbor who'd like to join you, or maybe you prefer some quiet time to yourself. Either way, moving your body every day is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. Eating well is another powerful tool. You don't have to follow a strict diet or give up all your favorite foods, but making small changes can add up over time. Try adding more fruits and vegetables to your meals, choosing whole grains, and cutting back on salty or processed foods when you can. Drinking plenty of water and limiting sugary drinks can also help keep your body in balance. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making choices that help you feel good and support your health. Managing stress is something we don't talk about enough, but it's just as important as anything else. Life can be stressful at any age, and sometimes it feels like the worries just keep piling up. But finding ways to relax and unwind can help protect your brain and your heart. Maybe you enjoy reading, listening to music, spending time with loved ones, or even just sitting quietly with a cup of tea. Whatever helps you feel calm and centered, make time for it. Your health is worth it. And don't forget about the power of connection. Stay in touch with friends, family, or your community can make a big difference in how you feel day to day. Even a quick phone call or a friendly chat with a neighbor can lift your spirits and remind you that you're not alone. If you ever feel isolated or down, reach out to someone you trust. Chances are they'll be glad to hear from you, too. Now, let's circle back to those unexpected signs of stroke we talked about earlier. The reason it's so important to know these signs is because strokes can happen to anyone at any time. They don't care if you're busy, if you have plans, or if you're just trying to enjoy a quiet afternoon. But by knowing what to look for and acting quickly, you can make all the difference in your recovery. If you ever notice sudden confusion, trouble speaking, vision changes, dizziness, numbness, weakness, a severe headache, or any other strange symptoms that come on out of the blue, don't wait. Call for help right away. Even if you're not sure, it's always better to be safe. Medical professionals would much rather check you out and find nothing serious than have you wait and risk more damage. And if you're with someone who's having these symptoms, don't hesitate to step in. Sometimes when a stroke is happening, the person experiencing it might not realize what's going on. They might feel embarrassed or confused, or they might try to downplay their symptoms. If you notice something isn't right, trust your instincts and get help. You could be saving a life. It's also a good idea to talk with your loved ones about what you've learned. Share these unexpected signs of stroke with your friends, your family, your neighbors, anyone who might benefit from knowing what to watch for. The more people who are aware, the safer our communities become. You never know when this knowledge might come in handy. As we wrap up this conversation, I want you to feel empowered. You have the tools and the knowledge to protect yourself and those around you. Remember, small changes can make a big difference. Whether it's making healthier choices, staying active, managing stress, or simply being aware of the every step you take. If you've ever experienced any of these symptoms, or if you have questions or stories to share, I'd love to hear from you. Your experiences can help others feel less alone and more prepared. So, please share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more tips and conversations about living your healthiest, happiest life. Here's to you, staying strong, staying informed, and living your best life at any age. You got this, and we're all in together.